Today we are going to talk about creating a still life composition as well as using simple shapes to block in our subjects and create them in proportion. To start, let's look at a couple of different compositions. So composition is how you fill up a page. So in this composition, this was my first composition, I was trying to figure out where my objects would go and how would they fit together. So you want to make your composition look a little bit united together, and I was not happy with how this came out because I felt like there wasn't really interesting or no objects kind of stood out and caught my attention. So I redid it and this was my new composition, and I was happy with how this came out because I liked the ribbon, how it gave leading lines and you looked around the objects. So have fun creating a composition of your own. Experiment with how you want objects to look. What do you want emphasized? You can overlap objects, or you can even draw objects upside down. That will be a fun challenge, and it'll make your composition a little bit more interesting. Just try new things and experiment with what you want to do, and then we are going to start blocking in our objects. We are going to block in our still lifes using simple shapes. So here is a completed still life, and you notice that there is a lot of detail to it and it looked like it might be really hard to do. Well, I started to create mine just by creating basic shapes and figuring out the measurements between each part. So I took my pencil, looking at my actual still life, and I just measured out each part. So I noticed that the tip of the pencil comes to about here on the pencil, and then I could use this measurement other places. So I noticed that this is the same measurement as the cup from this point to this point. So I could use that measurement here and here. So by using your pencils and also to look at the angles of what each object is, it can help you to block in basic shapes. So I think that I am going to create a square. You can even go look on your own objects and outline with a pencil what shape it might be. So it's kind of a rectangle with a half circle here, half circle here. Then I can go back and fix it. You want to make sure when you're drawing that you're using very light lines because nothing is perfect on the first try. So of course you're going to go back into your lines and change them and fix them up however you like. So now I see that this from here to here is a little bit less than the size of from here to here. I can see that length. So this is going to be smaller. So this should be a smaller length. So maybe about here. So I have two objects. And I just go in and add more details. I can go look at this line and say there's more curve in it. Comes out a little bit more. Just keep on going back and adding a little bit more. So we're not going to be shading today, but we are going to be creating almost like a contour line drawing. So as I went, I added darker and darker lines, and not too dark that I couldn't erase them, but just dark enough where you could see the object more clearly when I became more confident in my lines. And I also created varying thickness based on whether that was a dark spot in my drawing, so you can see around the curves that it gets a little bit darker, and the line is a little bit thicker because the lines were more prominent and stood out to me. So I just went on like you're creating a contour drawing. It's kind of the same thing. And just creating any details before we begin tomorrow shading. If you have any questions about your work today, please feel free to send me an email, and I can't wait to see what you guys make.